Hello, friends. Here is a discussion on fundamental rights and human rights. Fundamental rights versus human rights. In this discussion, we know about what are the fundamental rights, how they will be implemented, and what are the human rights. So, human rights versus fundamental rights. Both human rights and fundamental rights aim at the human dignity, protection of individuals, peace, tranquility, and totally there will be just, equal, and integrated society. So, the formation of the integrated society, that is the aim and goal of both human rights and fundamental rights. But there is some difference between fundamental human rights and fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are provided by the constitution of a particular country, and that is confined only to that particular country, people of that particular country, whereas the human rights are universal. It is applicable, the fund of human rights are applicable to almost all people in the entire world. How and where the human rights are generated and where the fundamental rights are generated, we shall now study. United Nations Chart 1945 and UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, have generated the human rights for the people of the world, whereas the constitution of a particular country, constitutional law of that particular country, will create the fundamental rights for the people living in that particular country. So, human rights are being followed, adapted in almost all countries, all nations will follow. It is the human rights are common to all people and all nations, whereas fundamental rights are confined, are limited to the people in that particular country, and the fundamental rights will differ from country to country. We have some fundamental rights in our country as per our Indian constitutional law, and the same fundamental rights they may be found or may not be found in some other country, in the constitution of other country. And who will guarantee these human rights or fundamental rights? The human rights are guaranteed by United Nations and international agencies. Now and then the treaties and conventions will be going on as and when the situation demands, the occasion demands, the human rights will be generated, updated. The United Nations and the international agencies will they will guarantee these human rights, whereas the fundamental rights are guaranteed by the constitutional law. Suppose the human rights are violated or fundamental rights are violated, who will protect? If the human rights are violated to any people, any persons, in any nation, the human rights commissions, different organizations, international agencies will protect. They will come to the rescue. Suppose in our country, if any human rights are violated, people can seek remedy by filing a petition to State Human Rights Commission at state level. If it is related to some issue related to a state and limited scope. Suppose the case is of national importance, then they have to file a petition in National Human Rights Commission. Here is the point, one important point. Suppose a person or an employee, so problem or a human right is violated and that is related to the state government, then the state, if the case is filed in the State Human Rights Commission, generally they will not be sorting out, because the State Human Rights Commission will be in the hands of the state government. Then we have to file a petition in the National Human Rights Commission, which is proper, and it will be more relevant also because they will be more impartial. And now, if we come to the fundamental right, violation of fundamental right, then we have to seek the remedy from the court of law, either at the district level, district court, or district human rights commission court, or according to Article 226, we can file a petition in High Court of that particular state. Or according to Article 32 of the Indian Constitution, we can file a petition in the Supreme Court of India, either by way of writs or by way of appeal, public interest litigation. Anyway, so the court of law will come to the rescue, and as far as the guarantee, as far as the fulfillment is concerned, in case of human rights, it may be fulfilled or it may not be fulfilled. It may be sorted out or it may not be sorted out. That depends upon the commission, Human Rights Commission's final decision. But they have the inherent power. If they think that it is a very serious case and it requires a legal remedy, definitely they will recommend it to the state High Court, or even the Supreme Court. National Human Rights Commission will recommend that case to the Supreme Court. But there is no legal guarantee, 100% guarantee. A legal remedy may be found or may not be found. It may be fulfilled or may not be fulfilled. But in the case of violation of fundamental right, 100% guarantee, 100% fulfillment, a legal remedy will be available in the court of law. And additional inclusion of human rights or fundamental rights. If because the life is we have a lot of hustle and bustle. Life is always full of predicaments, problems, complications, a number of offenses, criminal offenses, civil offenses, and as and when the situation demands, the occasion demands, the human rights will be generated, and these human rights, new human rights will be created by international conventions and treaties to be held very frequently. Whereas in the case of fundamental right, only legislation or by a judiciary, that too by amendment of the Constitution, a new fundamental right may be included. But here one thing, all fundamental rights are not, all fundamental rights are human rights, but all human rights are not fundamental rights. But the human right, any human right can be made a fundamental right when the situation really demands, when the occasion really demands. If in the eyes of law, in the eyes of the apex court or the central government, even the fundamental human right can be made a fundamental right. For example, in our country, the adultery law has undergone a thorough change. It was not a criminal offense now. Actually, Section 497, as per Section 497 of IPC, adultery is a crime. It is punishable. But now it is only a ground for divorce, not punishable. The reason is that the human right of the woman's human right, that is the sexual autonomy, has been now recognized, and it has been converted into a fundamental right indirectly by the apex court recently, in the recent development of adultery law. And another example, a right to education. See, if we take the case of Malala of Pakistan, who fought for a long time with Taliban's for the right of the children's education in the Muslim countries. Finally, you know the story very well about Malala. Finally, she was awarded the Nobel Prize, and that right to education to the children, that human right, has been now recognized as a fundamental right in almost all countries in the world. So, as and when the occasion demands, the situation really demands, even the human right can be made the fundamental right. So that will be made by law. That's why Chief Justice Wendell Holmes says that law is not predetermined. It will come, it will emerge as and when the occasion demands. Depending upon the situation, new situation, the law will emerge. It is not predetermined. That is quite relevant here. And the last, in our conclusion, the last point is promotion of the human rights and fundamental rights. Who will promote the fundamental rights and human rights? It is in the hands of media, number one. And next, NGOs or voluntary organizations. And then by human rights commissions or human rights committees or organizations spread throughout the world. So these three organizations, these three agencies alone can vibratingly promote the both human rights and fundamental rights, because the fundamental rights are the source of human dignity, peace, serenity, and integrity of the society under the sun. This is a brief about human rights and fundamental rights. Okay, thank you. Thank you for watching.